trick questions like that. Look, if that's what's going on in an interview and you really feel like it's a game being played, here's a thought. You don't have to stay through the interview. You have the right and the ability to say, thank you very much. I don't want to waste any more of my time or your time. I realize that this probably isn't the right fit for me, and I really appreciate your time. And you can get up and you can walk out. Welcome to the Career Brand Story Podcast, where we talk about your career, your brand, and your story. I'm Jeremy Tudor, career strategist, brand marketer, and storyteller that created the Career Brand Story method that has helped thousands of job seekers craft their career brand story for today's job market and land their dream job. Glad to have Jeb here. It's just you and me tonight. How are you doing? What's going on in your world?
I'm having a pretty good day. I went and got my first round of vaccine for COVID. So
congratulations.
Thank you. I'm happy, but I'm whining a little bit because my arm hurts and I feel sleepy.
So you got it today, right?
Yeah, I got it earlier today.
Yeah, we'll see how you're doing tomorrow.
Oh, man, don't say that. I've got photo shoots. I think it's the next one, right? It's the second one that's bad on day 2, right? Right, Jeremy?
Well, I don't know. I've heard from a lot of people that if you had COVID and you get the shot, it messes with you. So for me, the first one was good. And then the next day, I just felt really lousy for most of the day. I haven't got my second shot yet. That comes later. But so hopefully you'll be doing really good.
We'll see. We'll see how I feel for photo shoot Saturday.
Yeah, we'll stay optimistic.
Thanks.
Well, so listen, I had this wild ride on TikTok. I recently went all in and posting on TikTok. And so first of all, if you don't know what TikTok is a social media network for sharing user-generated videos. It contains people lip syncing to popular songs. Users can create and upload their own videos so they can lip sync, they can sing, they can dance. I mean, you can pretty much do about anything or just talk. That's what I do. I just talk. Actually, I was out at my daughter's horse lessons, and all the young girls, they were all sitting there watching TikTok, and my son Luke was like, "Oh yeah, my dad went viral," and they're like, "What? How did you do that?" And so I told them to look up my TikTok. I don't think they're gonna follow me or interested in listening to me just talk. So that's what I do on it. I don't dance yet, but I am practicing a dance. I'm trying to get my wife Christy to do it with me, so we'll see if that happens.
I hope so.
But TikTok, yeah, I'm not a good dancer at all. It's pretty bad. We didn't grow up in a families that danced. So even at our wedding, we didn't have that. It just culturally wasn't what we did.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I don't know. So I'm not confident with it. I feel really silly, but I'm also I was practicing this one song today. And so I was trying to embrace that it was really okay just to feel silly. That kind of the whole point.
That's a good place to start. I mean, I didn't grow up I take that back. I did grow up in a dancing family, but I didn't get the bug. So I am also very uncomfortable with dancing. And now that my son is super into the Fortnite dances, I'm trying to learn some of that for him, which I know is so last year, or actually maybe 3 years ago. I don't know, but I'm trying, and I do feel like an idiot standing in the kitchen in the middle of the night trying to learn how to do this stuff. But at least my neighbors are entertained.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I feel like you would be somewhat good at it because you were a marching band.
Yeah, that's the thing. I do my counting in weird ways, I keep rhythm in weird ways. It ain't in the dancing. That's for sure.
I do zero counting. That's probably my problem.
That's an issue. You were a music major.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I hated the metronome. My piano teacher probably thought I was the worst student ever because I couldn't keep beat. In fact, in one concert, my freshman year, I'll never forget this. I had to play like 8 measures on the piano with the full choir and everything. I sit down, like we're playing, she's sitting right beside me. And I just had this moment of panic and couldn't even keep track of the conductor, the beat. And she literally reached over to my hands and like grabbed them to make them play.
Oh my God.
And from that point forward, I never played the piano with the choir again. She never asked. I never asked. I was completely comfortable and fine with that. It was like too much pressure. I just wanted to go throw up somewhere, backstage.
Well, this is
so, yeah.
Interesting to find out after all this time, like hearing you play music.
Yeah, because you've seen me do that and lead like, bands and stuff.
Yeah.
And I got better with it as I like got more relaxed and kind of, dealt with it. But it takes a lot for me to like get into that zone. So anyway, so we'll see what happens on TikTok. You might see me dancing on beat or off beat, but hey, who knows? It's all supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
TikTok hit the U.S. markets in 2018. It's been made available to over 150 markets in 75 languages, and it currently boasts about 689 million users. So first, here's what I want to say is, so I've watched TikTok for an entire year. I posted a couple of things trying to just understand how to do it and experiment around with it. And then I was like, I don't know what kind of made me do it. I just went all in a week ago. I post about, on average, 3 videos a day. And, listening to the experts, here's the things you need to do. And so I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. Most of my stuff is around, well, actually, all of it's around, career development. A lot of it, I'm answering interview questions. And so I did that. One of the videos, and let me tell you that this is a crazy story. So like we're at my parents' house for the weekend, and I posted my 3 videos. I'm laying down in bed, really tired from traveling and stuff. And I was like, okay, God, if you're listening to me, I just need can you just make one thing go viral for me? Just one thing. I kid you not. I really did pray that. And so the next morning I wake up. I know. And the next morning I wake up and I had over 10,000, views on this one video. And then you could check it every 15 minutes. It just kept, there'd be another 1,000 and another 1,000 and another 1,000. And then all the comments started coming. And it was kind of this kind of surreal moment. Now, what I'll tell you is I am such a baby and infant on TikTok because the organic reach there is incredible. There's people out there who have hundreds of thousands and of followers. They have millions of views. Going to their page, it's not unusual to see multiple videos have that many views. But when it happens to you for the first time, I think anyone can understand you're kind of like, what in the world is happening? Yeah. This is kind of crazy. Yeah. So it was kind of mind blowing, exciting, and then a little bit vulnerable all at the same time. And so first, and from that was a week ago, and then now to today, I grew from 0 followers to 600 followers in 1 week. And that's really impressive. That's really impressive that platform is delivering that kind of audience. And so first, I want to say thank you to the 600 people who followed me this week. If any of them have decided to go beyond the video and go beyond my profile and click over to careerbrandstory.com and see our podcast and video and subscribe to us on YouTube, which we hope you do, then, we're excited to have you be a part of this journey. Thank you for watching a video that I made for 30 seconds, 80 million times, or not 80 million times, 80,000 times. 80 million. I'm getting ahead of myself, yeah. But 80,000 times. So that's really, thank you for doing that. And yeah, just thank you. I'm looking forward to learning on this platform and growing with you all. And that is what's happened. Now, if you're kind of a regular follower and listener and you're like, well, why should I care? I think is kind of the big question. You may even say, I have no intention of getting on TikTok or watching it or doing anything with it. This is why I think this is really important to your career. Short video format, I think, is here to stay. It's going to continue to grow, and it is a powerful way for you to market your career brand story. And last year, we beta test this with a few of our clients where we did what we call your virtual story. So we took the story pitch and we said, let's make this a virtual story. As we live now in this virtual world of Zoom calls, and be able to use this video, a 2 to 3 minute introduction of your career brand story. And the 3 reasons you need a virtual story today is, number 1, it makes you memorable. When you're trying to cut through the noise of 300 other people that have applied to the job, you need something that cuts through all that noise and makes you memorable. And I'm telling you right now, creating a virtual story is the way to do that because no one else is doing it. In my 16 years of recruiting, I only had one time where someone actually sent me a video. It wasn't even that great. They did a whole day on high speed to the song, the orchestra song, "The Flight of the Bumblebee." But I remember them. I remember them 10 years later from them doing that. And so it makes you memorable. Number 2, you can share it. You can share it via email. You can share it, on your LinkedIn profile through a YouTube link. You can share it through your phone. It just makes a lot of sense that the more ways that you can share your career brand story and get it out there, you can share it on your social media channels, makes a lot of sense. And then the third reason is that it builds rapport before you meet the person for the first time. And I think that that's sometimes what maybe is missed on social media is that, like, even through this podcast right now, through our social media channels, we get this opportunity to engage with someone that we've never met before. And then when we do have that first meeting, we're past all the awkwardness of the first meeting. We're already moving into a deeper part of the relationship and making a connection. And so that's the 3 things that I think really make, a really good case study, good reason for you to think about making this virtual story. And that's something we're doing here at Career Brand Story.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. In the past decade, with the introduction of social media, the new awkwardness when meeting people is the feeling that you've been a stalker, the feeling that you already know each other, but you've never really met. So it's a whole new level of awkwardness, but it's really nice. Like once you kind of step right past that, you do get a much better feel for who people really are. So I totally agree with that.
And we have feedback from a number of recruiters that said, hey, if I got a video from a candidate, I would watch it. And you all know I'm like, anti-cover letter, right? Burn them. Nobody's reading them. Recruiters, 95% of recruiters aren't reading them. So instead of doing a cover letter, send them your virtual story through video, because they're saying, hey, I'll watch that. I'll take a look at it.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know why LinkedIn hasn't integrated this into their platform yet. It's got to happen at some point.
You better trademark that. You better sell that to Microsoft.
I know. If I was smart enough and I knew how to code all of this.
You don't have to code it.
But it'd be a great,
yeah.
But it'd be a great market, again, because we're doing it, and we can make that happen. And even though they don't have it integrated in their system, you can still, again, post a YouTube link right onto your profile, right in the About Summary section, right at the top. And I don't know, it makes a whole lot of sense. Actually, I think crazy. You could put it in oh my God, I just thought of this. You could actually do a short link, right? A bit.ly link, and put it in your headline.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
Well, there you go.
Here we are innovating right now live. We just created a new way to market that on your LinkedIn. So yeah, I think it's a powerful way to do it. So, so if you're interested in learning more about that, contact us. Jeb is an integrated part of that. Integrated. I'm using integrated a lot tonight. An instrumental part of that.
Instrumental, integral, whatever.
Integral.
I'm on the thing with you. I help make those virtual stories come to life with, not really come to life because they're virtual, but I help make them happen. I'm on there to help coach and, help people get through it and feel comfortable, because we do understand that it's not everybody's thing to get in front of a camera and talk. But when you do, it's good. And we're there to help.
Yeah. And my wife, Christy, she said this about TikTok. She's like, you do a really good job at it. She's like, not everyone could do that. I don't know. I mean, if you practice and you get yourself used to it, you can do it, And I think that the same thing, if you have the right people coaching you through this, we've made some really good virtual stories. Our clients have really loved them. I've loved them. We've done, Ishi was the last person that we ran through that. We shared pieces of her virtual story on our social media channels on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. So you kind of get a feel for what we're doing there. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And before we move on, I just want to point out that is a really good point, that, being in front of a camera isn't talent, it's skill. It's something you practice. So even with my headshot clients and stuff, I tell them all the time in their tips sheet that I send by email, go practice in front of the mirror. It's okay to feel like a goofball, but go practice. That way, when you come to the studio, you're much more comfortable, like trying to pose, trying to show something. And the same would go with recording a virtual story. You got to practice if you're going to get good at something.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really consider myself a great podcaster, but I keep practicing, you know?
Just got to keep doing it.
Yeah. And even tonight, like right now, as we're recording this, one of the things I'm working on and being more conscientious is about how I speak into the microphone. Cause I usually move away from it, or I don't talk at the same volume. So I'm trying to be better at that. But people don't realize,
Jeremy.
That's right. People don't realize that's a skill that you learn, that Jeb's been teaching me to do better on. And that's what can happen through good video coaching and turn out a really awesome thing that could accelerate your career. So I think we've proven our point here tonight, folks. You need to come get your virtual story done.
You should.
Bottom line.
Yes.
All right. So we thought it would be fun and practical to answer some of the TikTok comments and questions that came through one of my videos that reached 80,000 views. And this video was about how to answer the interview question, what is your greatest weakness? And so here's my formula to this question. If you are not on TikTok and didn't watch the video, here's how I answered it. Here's my formula for the question. Say a weakness in the affirmative, all right, plus what I've learned from my weakness, plus ask a strategic question back. So it may sound something like this. I work really fast sometimes, and I've learned to slow down, communicate with my team, and make sure that all of my I's are dotted and T's are crossed. What happens when someone makes a mistake in your company?
Flipping the table.
You follow
back.
that?
Yep. Turning the tables back on them.
Yeah. So this goes back to an interview principle that's called say it, ask it. You say your answer, keeping it to the point, and then you ask a strategic question back. So I like to come up with these formulas, and break down the question, and then kind of strategically answer it, but also ask a question back. And when you're asking that question back, there's a couple of things happening. One, you're inviting the hiring manager, the interviewer, into dialogue with you. And the more dialogue you create, the more human connection that you create. And there is a likability bias in all interviews. And so you're going to like someone that you connect with and talk with more versus someone you don't talk with and just kind of sits there silently like a robot answering questions. The other thing that happens is that when you ask that question back and you're being strategic about it, you're going to learn more about the role that you didn't find out in a job posting, that you didn't find out on a website, but you're really getting real-time information now from the leader, the person that typically you're even going to report to, or people that you're going to work with. So it's a really powerful strategy to use an interview. Say it and ask it. And I always think through all of my interview questions that way. Now, I may not use it on every single question because I don't want to come across like I'm trying to control the interview. But the more you use it, the more effective your interview is going to be.
Yeah, and I imagine, especially if you work it in conversationally and you're not aggressive about it, it's not, I joked that you're turning the tables on them, but it's not about putting somebody on the spot and winning a battle, because in the end, you're hoping to work with these people, and you're not trying to create adversaries in the interview.
Yeah, and actually, someone on TikTok made the same comment. They said, "I like how he turns the table back to them and puts them on the spot." And my response to that is, interviewing is a two-way road. And so, yeah, if you think about it in that way, as much as they know you're sitting at the table wanting the job, you also are sitting at the table trying to understand, hey, is this really the right place for me? For my skills, for how I behaviorally work, what really motivates and drives me, and the only way you're going to know that is if you ask questions back,
right?
And get those kind of answers. I'm not really, I think some people, they're afraid to ask questions in interviews, and, I'd almost go, I don't want to sound too extreme about this, but I'd almost say that almost no question is off the table to ask. I think that it's really important, rather than you accept the job and 3 months realize, oh, I made a horrible mistake. Why didn't I ask this in the interview? It's better to get the answers up front. Right.
So starting off here, we're talking about difficult things. So let's just jump into this difficult one. One comment you got was, so BS question with a BS response. Seems like interviews are just a game. Now that's a pretty negative comment to leave, but it's pretty valid, I think. I think a lot of people think that career coaching and a lot of what we talk about is just BS. It's just jargony corporate stuff. So what is the real value here?
Well, okay. Do you like baseball?
Not particularly.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
What sport do you like?
We're yes-anding. Yes. I love baseball.
All right.
I love the crowd.
All right, let's just say we like.
Now, let me start over. And this isn't a BS answer. I don't like the sport of baseball, but I love the experience of going to a baseball game.
Okay. I mean, any sport out there, it's a game, but people have to practice and get good at their game. And the same thing with interviewing. I guess what they're trying to say in a game, like, it doesn't really matter like how you do things or how you answer things. They're just trying to trip you up or, et cetera. But even in games, like, people have to develop really good skills to be good at it. Speakers don't get up and just start speaking and were just really good at speaking the first time they ever spoke.
Mm-hmm.
They had to learn communication skills and practice that. It kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier in this podcast, even. I don't think that if we were to go back to the very first podcast that we ever did, I'm sure we would point to today and go, oh, wow, this podcast is so much better. Well, why? Because we've done them and we've practiced all the way through them. So, in interviewing, what I will say is that I don't think that a lot of interviewers are necessarily good at interviewing because they too don't always practice their interviewing skills. And a lot of times they don't always know why they're even asking the question. So I'll put that out there that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Right. And I think if they would get better at thinking about, okay, why are we really asking this question? What are we looking for when we ask this question? It would make the interview go a lot better. But in that case, knowing that a lot of interviewers don't practice or really think through the questions, then you need to be prepared. And it's not a BS answer to sit there and really think that through and be prepared. The other thing I'll say about this is I'm giving you an example, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to contextualize it to you, your weakness, what you've learned, what your strategic question would be. I mean, you shouldn't go in and say my answer. I'm sure someone will do that, but you shouldn't.
Right.
I'm giving you the structure for how to think through how to answer that question. And so I don't think there's anything BS about it. And if you really think through the strategic ask back question, it doesn't have to be BS. It could really be telling to you, to gain more information about the company, the role, and the leadership.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. You're just wasting everybody's time if you're in there and not in there and only thinking about gaming, and you're not actually answering and asking with real answers, with real value. What's the point?
Yeah. And you know what? If they ask a bunch of questions like that, like I don't like the interview questions that are like, the train left at 3:00 from Philadelphia, and the owl screeched at 4:00 in the morning. So what time did the owl and the train meet? I think those kind of are like, if there's 50 red balls in the vending machine and someone comes through and takes out 4, what do you do with the remaining 34? Trick questions like that. Look, if that's what's going on in an interview and you really feel like it's a game being played, here's a thought. You don't have to stay through the interview. You have the right and the ability to say, thank you very much. I don't want to waste any more of my time or your time. I realize that this probably isn't the right fit for me, and I really appreciate your time. And you can get up and you can walk out.
Yeah.
You have that power and ability to do that.
Yeah.
So,
and just so we're not tone deaf here, we do recognize that there are people out there that need any job they can get. So,
yeah,
getting up and walking out of something is something, that's something you want to measure against whether you really need this job or whether you have the privilege and ability to walk out of the interview. But, I hear you, and I 100% agree with you. If it's not a good fit and you have the ability, no point in sticking around.
And recognize that the hiring manager may be a BSer, but the company and the role isn't. That's, so kind of to your point, you may need to go through that game to get to the role and the function.
Right.
And you're just dealing with one bad apple out of the whole company.
All right, here's one. Sometimes I feel these videos regarding this exact question are so common that interviewers would be happy with a much more frank answer. Question mark?
Yeah, so that I think just goes back to context. I mean, I'm giving you an example. All right. I've purposely made the answer simple to digest. I'm trying to think back in interviewing if I would actually say that I've actually used this exact answer because it truly is my own weakness that I'll speed through stuff, and I really have learned to slow down. But this is where I would say, like, yeah, absolutely, get to the point, but think through what is your weakness. What is your answer to that question? Again, don't use mine, use yours. So,
so it seems like this commenter was kind of assuming that you were saying, here's a canned answer to that question you can use,
right?
And not really thinking about
right.
their own real answer.
Yeah. Someone in here asked me about,
and while you're looking for that, I think that it's interesting to see there's a lot of commenters on here who are recruiters. And it looks like you've got, just scanning it here, you've got around a 50-50 split of recruiters who say, exactly, yes, 100%. And then you've got some who are saying, I would never ask this question, which is also, kind of nice to know that you might not have that question even come up. But then you've got other people who are saying, this is BS and all. And it just really kind of drives the point home that interviewers and recruiters and hiring managers are all just people. It's not a formula. And if when you realize that everybody's just another person like you, then you realize that you should be conversational, that you should go in and talk to people like they're people and say and ask what you want to ask.
Well, and sometimes this question isn't asked directly, what is your greatest weakness? Sometimes that question is asked this way, tell me about a time that you made a mistake and how did you handle it? They're asking for the same thing. Mm-hmm. They're wanting you to admit to a weakness and how you handle your weakness. So, there's lots of different ways to actually ask this question and be aware that they could be asking that. I think some of the recruiters who say, well, I wouldn't even ask this question too. I know there were a few comments like, and I agree with this, is that I think in organizations, we should be so much more focused on people's strengths versus their weaknesses. Like, I'm much more interested in what my team is really good at than what they're really bad at, and positioning them in a place that they're going to work and lead from their strengths.
Right. Yeah. Because you want to play to your strengths anyway. You're not going to say.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I did post a video about how to answer what is your greatest strength. Oh. So that's out there too on TikTok if you want to know the answer to that one. So yeah, someone said about this, well, as someone who does this, what techniques did you use to slow yourself down? Which I thought was a great question. So like when I lead a team, I give my teammates permission to say that I'm going too fast or to stop me and to clarify a task. I think that's a big piece of it is, giving people permission to call you out on that. And I'm also a big believer in writing down project plans, putting things in writing that holds everybody accountable, helps the collaborative process so that everyone's kind of on the same page.
I think, as we mentioned at the top of the episode, was going to be shorter than usual. It's just the two of us, and we're running up against our time here. So I'm just going to say my favorite comment that I saw in this video for the person's greatest weakness was that they went too hard on the chips and salsa when dining out.
I was just going to say that one too. That's the best one.
I always leave a Mexican restaurant feeling like I never should have touched the first chip.
Yeah, there's a lot of good humor on these comments too. So if you're on TikTok, I encourage you go read through these comments. They're a lot of fun. And thank you too to people for their honest comments. I love the engagement on this, the good, the bad of it too. I didn't really read anything negative, even though I guess sometimes maybe someone felt it a negative response. Maybe someone else would read it that way, but yeah. I really like that because it gives us a good knowledge of where you're at and what you're thinking through. And, we can provide better practical solutions around that. So, yeah. So I'm on TikTok and I'm doing it, and it's changing my social media strategy around completely. And I didn't think that would be something that would happen that quickly or this way. I honestly did not think I would be such a fan or adopter of TikTok. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, it's surprisingly fun.
Yeah. So, hey, you can find me on Facebook or LinkedIn. Just search for Jeremy Tudor. And on Instagram, I am at Jeremy T. Tudor. And you can find me on TikTok at Jeremy Tudor. While many of you listen to this podcast, because that's what a podcast is for, you can also watch each episode on YouTube. Search Jeremy Tudor Career Brand Story to find us. And actually, we got a landing page now. You can just go to careerbrandstory.com and you find us. We would love it if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel. That would just be a huge encouragement to us. So please go do that. You can comment, engage with us there as well. And Jeb, you are on TikTok. How can people find you there?
I'm on TikTok at JebGraff, just like I am everywhere else. It's JEBBGRAFF. And I would also encourage people to subscribe to our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. If you're on Apple Podcasts, please go and leave us a good review. We'd really appreciate it there. And, the more begging for likes seems kind of gross, but the way that the algorithms and everything works is that, the more followers, the more reviews we get, especially on Apple Podcasts, the more reach we have, which means the more folks we can help get thriving and doing what they love.
Yeah, and on YouTube, when we get to 100 users, we'll have a pizza party.
Yay! But it'll just be for us. We're sorry, y'all. You can pretend you came.
Yeah. just you and me will have pizza on the podcast.
Oh, we can do some chewing ASMR. We'll lose at least 75% of our audience.
That's right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everyone, this week, and keep thriving.
If you're interested in advertising your business on our podcast, we advertise for local and national companies. Contact McKay at careerbrandstory.com for more information. That's MCCAY at careerbrandstory.com.